What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Two Brothers Politics. Today, we are going to be talking about the riots that have been going on in Brazil. We are going to be talking about the climate lockdown in Oxfordshire County, and we are also going to be talking about how abortions in Texas have dropped 99%.
All right, and I'm John, and we also have some Jordan Peterson news here. It looks like he's been having some scrutiny, taken under fire, and possibly his license revoked and some re-education programs. We will get right into it right after this. All right. So what is this? The first one on the day. It looks like we got a New York Post here. Psychologist Jordan Peterson could lose license if he refuses social media re-education. I do actually want to read through a little bit of this for you guys, just in case you guys are listening or can't see the screen at the time, but I'm going to read it from my phone here. It makes it a little bit easier. I'm kind of blind. I need things right in front of my face. Controversial. Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson has launched a legal challenge against the College of Psychologists of Ontario after he said the governing body threatened to pull his practicing license if he doesn't complete social media re-education for comments that he made on Twitter and the Joe Rogan podcast. Peterson 60 filed an application for judicial review with the Ontario Divisional Court. The Toronto Sun reported Wednesday, as the clinical psychologist has said he will refuse to comply with the regulatory body's demands. So essentially what we're talking about here is we've got Jordan Peterson. He's made a couple of questionable tweets that people have found offensive and have filed some complaints against him, and now the governmental body that resides over him is trying to take away his physician's license. I think we do actually have a clip or two from Jordan Peterson, kind of like as a response from him. If we can go ahead and pull that up. And then I think I've got a couple more articles on it that I want to read through.
Identity. I don't believe that using your pronouns is going to do you any good in the long run.
From culture wars to a fight with the College of Psychologists of Ontario, Peterson refusing to undergo social media training ordered by the professional association after complaints over his tweets.
I can either stop or give up or accede to the demands or continue the fight, and I'm not stopping.
The tweets include this one, saying a plus-size model on the cover of Sports Illustrated was not beautiful. In another, Peterson called then Ottawa City Councillor Catherine McKenney, who uses they, them pronouns, an appalling, self-righteous thing. Peterson, who has millions of social media followers and supporters, could lose his license to practice. He's accusing the college of infringing on his freedom of speech.
I deserve it. I earned it. I haven't done anything to justify suspending it, and I don't want to give the hyenas their bone.
No matter Peterson's views, this expert says he may have a point.
I object strongly to the content of most of his political speech, but that's not the issue. We don't allow private bodies to censor our rights as a citizen in a democratic society.
Peterson's cause has been taken up by Elon Musk, who reinstated his Twitter account, and opposition leader Pierre Poilievre.
In a free country, professionals should not lose their jobs and licenses because they express a political opinion contrary to the licensing body.
This professor says speech like Peterson's without limits is problematic.
What ends up happening is that the loudest, most obnoxious voices, when given the chance, will tend to drown out more marginalized voices.
Peterson's refusal to capitulate seems to indicate the next move is up to the college. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, so
What are your first initial thoughts?
I mean, you know how I feel about Peterson. He's king of the incels to me.
Okay.
It's something that he's even proclaimed proudly that he is. Now, regarding his comments and everything that he's made, I don't personally have issue with what he's saying in the terms that it is free speech. Like
Okay.
we saw inside the video, they were talking about, this isn't a matter if what he said is wrong or right. This is a matter of freedom of speech.
Right.
And he shouldn't have any kind of licensing revoked because he's not a liked man, or he may say things that are insensitive
Right.
or even offensive. That doesn't mean, it's not like he's actively out here being racist or anything of that nature it would dictate this. And again, nobody has to do business with him. That's the whole thing. Like, nobody has to do business with him if you don't want to. If you don't like the things that he is saying, then block them. Like, we to the point where, like, we're not going to block them. We would rather report somebody and try to get them banned, try to get them fired. There's cases over and over again of people calling people's work and trying to get them fired because they didn't like something that they said on social media. And I think that's taking it too far. I think it's absolutely ridiculous because it's not going to make the person change. It's going to make them stay steadfast in their beliefs no matter what. At that minute, you made them a victim, at least in their mind, you have victimized them. And so now they are going to continue going down that path because they believe I must be right. I must be going down the right path if I have this many people fighting back against me. I say
Right.
the proper way to handling people like Jordan Peterson is with facts. And don't get me wrong, Jordan Peterson, again, like Andrew Tate, has some very good philosophies of life and so on, and how to live your life. I don't agree with all of them because most of them are based in the biblical aspect. So
Right.
for me, I don't really adhere to that in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I have to say that Jordan Peterson never really used to bring a whole lot of religion into a lot of it until a few years ago. He started
Well, yeah,
doing it.
and now he's got an entire talk show where he talks about the Bible.
Right. Yeah. And I think that if you had followed his path from the beginning, from the moment that he came on screen. I mean, he came on screen, I think it was like in I think that we may have a clip for you later, but I was watching something earlier that he was saying that 2016 is kind of when he came into his own light, and ever since then, the powers that be have been trying to attack him, even to the extent where any patient that he's ever had actually has not complained. Thousands of people in his clinical practice, the people that he was educating while he was a professor, it wasn't until his rise to fame and having some kind of I believe
Right.
yeah, I think that the very first thing that got him popular was probably um pronouns, the use of pronouns, and it being what's the word here? It's like forced to have to use somebody's pronoun. There's a specific word for it. I'm sorry. But
Coerced.
yeah, I mean, but you're forced. It's like mandatory speech essentially, where you're forced to use somebody's pronouns if they want to go by, they, them, even though it's clearly a male or a female, and there's
But
obviously questionable people sometimes.
it's not forced. Like, it's never been forced.
I mean, in this, I think that this specific situation, this is one of 100 reasons
Yeah.
why the administration is coming after him, but
Yeah,
this is
one
one
of
of the
100.
reasons.
It's not because he refused. It's not because he's actually actively refusing to do it. It's because of how the manner he is doing it in. And regardless, like he's acting like he, first of all, acts like he deals with trans people on a day in and day out basis, or
Mhm.
people that are non-binary or non-gender or whatever,
Right.
whatever other labels they want to label themselves as. He sits here and he acts like he deals with these people, and besides the fact that they may come up to him and talk to him, but having the decency to respect somebody's pronouns is not that big of a deal. And like you don't have to associate, like the same thing goes the other way around. Like it's the same way people can block him, he
Mhm.
can block other people. Simple, like you don't have to be rude, you don't have to be nasty. Now, like I said, I don't think any of that justifies it,
Right.
but he actively makes himself inflammatory. I don't know if it's for clout or to push his agenda further out, how he wants to expand his business and everything that he's doing. Because at the end of the day, it is about clicks, and now
It could have been.
he's making money. He's with the Daily Wire now, actively doing a
Right.
weekly show and so on and so forth.
I
So
mean,
I think a lot of it has to do with money.
yeah, there's no question that his fame or notoriety there back in 2016 and when he came onto the scene, he may have been making quite a bit of money at the time, but there's no doubt that he is definitely making way more money than he was. So it could have been about it could have absolutely been about money, but I mean, this isn't the only example of, society pressing down on an individual, forcing them to compelled speech is what I was looking for. Forcing him to have compelled speech, otherwise they decide that they want to shut them down or fire them or write them up in schools. And I think that Canada definitely has, um, it's definitely a lot more left leaning than America is, but these problems are still overflowing into
I think
America.
well,
I think that
regardless,
this is like in general a big Western culture, Europe,
definitely,
NATO included. This isn't
definitely.
just America, just Canada.
No, for sure. It's definitely a Western culture problem. But at the end of the day, like these problems aren't that big. Like, so, okay. So Ontario is the college, right? The Ontario
Mhm.
college is the one that's doing this to him. So I don't necessarily have a problem with the college letting him go. First of all, you have already made yourself a very successful social media
Mhm.
star. You
Well,
are
I'm
on,
sorry. I'm sorry. It's not the college specifically. It's like a
it's
board
in
that,
Ontario.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a board that resides over the college. It's like
That's right.
a board of doctors.
The reason I don't have a problem with them doing this is private institution, so allow them to do what they want to do, and they're probably just getting a crap ton of complaints, and they're tired of dealing with this on a day in and day out basis. It is not their responsibility to defend the
Mhm.
stances that he has made. And if you go through and you read what he posted on Twitter, that actually goes into detail about every single tweet that somebody had some kind of issue with. Whether
Right.
he agrees with that issue or not is besides the point. The fact
Right.
is, this college is getting swarmed and flooded with all of this stuff, and they probably just don't want to deal with it anymore. There may be some people that are biased towards it and don't like him as a whole and wanted to get rid of him to begin with, but more than likely, this college just doesn't want to deal with that. Why would they want to? Why would
Okay,
they
so
want all
let's
this negative light on their college, on their institution?
let's imagine then for a second that Jordan Peterson actually does apologize. He goes through this re-education. Is that enough?
No,
Do
I
you
think
think?
he should quit.
uh, I
Why
mean,
stay? Why stay?
w-
Why
I
stay in
mean,
a place that is actively trying to get rid of you?
so then I
And
mean,
if
in that
and
case, if he's going to quit,
if apology is all that it takes to make it go away, then what was the point to begin with?
yeah. But I mean, all right. So we do definitely have. We've got a couple clips. I think we'll play one of the clips here in just a second. Actually, it's
Now,
kind of
I don't understand how the college can pull his licensing. I
right.
don't know enough about licensing, but you know, I
Well,
wouldn't think that they had
it's
the power to do something of
it's the
that nature.
board. It's the board. I think that he gets into it. I think that the clip. I mean, I know more of the specifics, but I think that he actually says it in the clip. But right before we actually play that, I do want to leave off with a thought while we watch is that I don't think that private institutions override your constitutional rights. Now, I know that Canada has its own constitution, but here in America, if you're given the right of free speech, then I don't think that an institution should be allowed to infringe on that free speech, which includes compelled speech.
And then I guess it would matter on what the laws are, because we don't know enough about Canada laws to sit here and actually make a judgment on it. But in Texas, it's a right to work state. So they can literally fire you for any reason. They don't have to give you a reason. So if it's anything along this line, but they're giving him reasons. They're showing him exactly
Right.
why we no longer want you affiliated with this.
I think that if you were given a reason like that here in the States, specifically in Texas, I think you'd be able to fight against that in a court of law.
Maybe.
Just for it being, I mean, it's you're being prejudiced against somebody that just chooses not to use compelled speech.
Possibly. You want the clip with his daughter, right?
I think so. I mean, we could play both.
I had a
of them.
real
We'll probably
hard
have something
time
to say in
keeping
between either
myself
way.
composed. It's very off-putting to, let's say, to have attempted to conduct myself extremely carefully in my professional occupations as a professor and as a clinical psychologist for decades, to step very carefully. Of course, I never had any behavioral accusations levied against me at Harvard or the University of Toronto or as a clinical psychologist in the 30 years I was a professor and 20 years of private practice. And then to be accused of serious personal misconduct, the essential claim was my seductive behavior as a therapist. And the evidence offered was that when I was offering my advice, I would spin my wedding ring, which was apparently some Freudian indication that I was, sexually interested in the particular complaining client. Now, I don't particularly blame her.
So, I mean, I have to say that I definitely don't blame the individual maybe for taking it that way. I think that, 99% of the time, I think people seeing somebody play with their wedding ring is not a sign of anything other than, I'm a pretty fidgety person. Like, I always got to be doing something myself. But I think here he's just laying out for us the fact that, he's been in this business for going on 50 years now, right? Because I mean, even at the college, he teaches psychology. So he's been in this business for 60 years or 50 years, and this entire time he has had to tread 50 years of experience. He's kind of overlapped in there. But he's had to tread ice and be very careful with his words. That way he doesn't slip up. And now all of a sudden, because of this compelled speech thing, which is where it all began, now he's being attacked for a bunch of different things all at the same time.
So yes, there may be accusations that are coming out against him, but that's not even the issues that they're having. All of the things, we're going to bring it up. All of the things in the documentation, if we go and look at it.
We've got the
Hold on, I'm going to bring it up right now.
We do actually have quite a few. We've got quite a few tweets from him that are kind of compelling. I wouldn't say that anything is.
But if you go look
overt.
Okay, so we're sitting here and we're going through all of this, and you look at it, and these are, regardless if you think the complaints have merit or not, these are all complaints that were received because he could not stay off of Twitter, and he felt like he needed to impose his view onto other people that just truly weren't asking for his opinion. That's really what it comes down to. And I get anybody can do this. Anybody can have their opinion, so on and so forth.
That's what Twitter's for.
But he actively goes out of his way to harass these people when you don't need to. Like, we get it. You don't want to use pronouns. Leave the people alone then.
Well, I don't think he's harassing anybody.
No one was forcing you to do it. He is harassing people, though, by sitting here and saying that I don't have to respect this. I'm going to guess he doesn't care for my pronouns either. Like, at the end of the day, like, he is actively trolling people. That's what this comes down to.
I think that he's had enough of people telling him that he has to do something, and at some point you have to put your feet into the ground and stop budging.
Oh.
And this is his
So
line in the
with
sand.
that logic, then he should start saying the N-word all the time because he's tired of people telling him he can't say it.
No, I mean you pick and choose your battles. I even with that, I would still agree with if you have the freedom of speech, then you do have the freedom of speech. Unless we want to say that you don't have the freedom of speech,
I've already
because I
said
mean,
that the social media isn't a place for freedom of speech. It's private companies. Now you could argue that you want it dismantled and you want it under government control, so it falls under that. But as it stands, it's a private company and they can update their policies in however they choose. I get banned on Facebook constantly
okay,
because I use the B word.
that's the thing though, is the government is getting involved with this being a private company. He's posting this on Twitter. That's exactly what the platform is for you to be able to post whatever you want within your limitations of what free speech is. You cannot scream fire in a packed theater. But you do have that practice of free speech, and that is where you practice it, right here on Twitter. And now we've got people
No,
that are
that's where you
complaining.
want to practice it. You can practice it anywhere else. You can go in the streets, you can go in the Capitol, you can even go on TV, you can go to your congressman, you can go to your city council meetings. There are plenty of places that you can utilize free speech. You're just demanding that you want it from a private company.
No, I mean that's what Elon Musk has said that his purpose of Twitter is.
Even
It's the
he
free
said that
speech battleground.
it's not free speech absolutist though.
No,
That's
not
what it is.
absolutist, but I mean when you
It's
read through what some of these tweets are, it's
it
not
is
like
free.
they're overly barbaric.
And we've also seen Elon Musk ban people and reban them and unban them and do all of these crazy things. He's literally doing whatever he wants at this point and making the rules up as he goes.
Well, the only person that he has not unbanned is Alex Jones. Because he
No, but
said that he didn't like what Alex Jones had said about
he's
the
banned
Sandy Hook
he
kids.
banned those individuals that outed his information.
Okay,
He's
so
rebanded a bunch of individuals for like Kanye West.
mhm.
Like he's consistently done this. Like if he truly believed in free speech, like he is claiming, he wouldn't be banning these people.
Okay, so this is what Jordan Peterson. This is one of, and there are some questionable ones, but this is one of the ones that somebody had complained about during the Ottawa Freedom Convoy there in Canada. Some of the children were taken away by police officers. Nobody was told anything. The kids were just taken, and Jordan Peterson gets on Twitter and he says, children removed? How exactly? Why exactly? By whom exactly? Sent to where exactly? And for how long exactly? Think this through, Canadians. This is a bad decision. So he's simply asking, where are they taking all of these people's children when they don't have the right to grab a citizen's child from the streets? Like,
What
I
proof
mean,
do we have for that though?
well, he's got the proof here, actually, in that document right there. If you pull that document up, it's got the complaint in there. I believe it's on page 7. It goes into page 8.
Page 7. Okay.
And I mean, there's a whole list of other ones in here. Like, okay, there was the yeah, that's exactly what I just read. I think if you go up the page there, it'll actually show you the complaint itself.
So by the post that it says the police chief says he is working with social services and freedom convoy protesters to have children removed from the area prior to any sort of police action. So what it looks like is they were about to have police action in the area and wanted to remove children from the area.
Fair enough.
So there you go. That's the
So,
answer.
so then Jordan's the response to Jordan's post here would be exactly that. But why is this happening to him just because he posted something on Twitter?
I'm not saying that every single one of these things is a justified claim. I am saying that these are all the claims that they have submitted showing that they get such a huge volley of these that they no longer want to do business with him. Plain and simple.
It doesn't matter if you get a large volley. That's what your company is for.
No, in a private
that's the
business
thing.
is not. You do not have to sit here and take harassment over and over and over again and defend the actions of someone that you do not believe in. Then you're forcing it upon the company to reaffirm your ideology by
No,
doing so.
what you're doing is you're telling the company that they supersede your First Amendment right of free speech.
But this isn't America.
Sure, true enough, but this is happening in America still. We're talking about
Where?
Jordan Peterson because of his prominence, but this is happening everywhere with compelled speech.
No, it is not.
People are getting fired from their jobs.
Where?
I literally just showed you links the other day. Like, we just had this conversation. I'm sorry that I don't have the links ready for you right now. If you want to make this into a segment tomorrow, we absolutely can.
Sure,
But people are
just
getting
because you can
fired from
find a
their
couple of
jobs.
articles showing a few events where it might happen, that doesn't, and then we have to go into the depths of how they got fired, why they got fired, were there any disciplinary reasons beforehand, not specifically because, and then at the end of the day, we're talking about respecting other people. So if you're not going to respect your other employees, then you should be fired. Just like you would expect any other employee to respect you. If they walked up to you and started calling you her and girl all the time, you'd be like, man, that's kind of disrespectful. I'm not a girl.
Right. But I would have no ground to get them fired because they decided they wanted to call me girl, regardless of it being disrespectful.
No, that's creating a hostile work environment if you're sitting there constantly being rude to them and just being mean and nasty for no reason.
Yeah, I agree with you. If somebody is going to be rude and is going to harass you, then sure, by all means. But if you want me to sit here and call you chicken, but you're clearly not a chicken, I'm not going to do it. It's not being disrespectful.
No one's
you are a
asking to be
man.
called a chicken.
I mean, I'm exaggerating.
And
it
you
just
don't
for the
know if they are a
purpose.
man. That's the thing. Do you go into their pants and look at their genitalia?
Like, if
How
I'm
do
sorry,
you know what is a man and a woman? You cannot tell
you're
a
right.
difference on the skin.
You're absolutely right, because there are some people, there are absolutely some people that have transitioned and do look like the opposite sex. And so therefore, if I were to call them by the sex that they look, woman, and they want to be called woman, then by all means, no harm, no foul. I didn't even know the difference. There is no complaint there. But if you are clearly, what is that gentleman's name that was in the females swimming competition, and he wants to be called a woman? He's clearly not a woman. Like, and I shouldn't be forced to call him a woman because he, in his imagination, decides that he wants to believe that he is.
Then don't talk to her.
Well,
that's simple.
Fair enough. Yeah, I myself wouldn't talk to her. But at the same time, if this person is sitting here and taking away all of the medals from all of the female athletes.
That's not what we're talking about, though. We're not talking about sports. We're talking about specifically saying, call me a her because I am a her. We're not talking about them in other sports. I've already told you many times that I don't agree that we have trans people in men and women's sports. I think that we should have our own trans league or figure out something that would be beneficial for everybody involved. But I don't think that is fair because science and biology is a thing.
Keep scrolling while we're talking here. That way we can, at least somebody can pause and read through any of these if they choose. And I agree with you that yes, men and women obviously have separate sports divisions, but that line is getting blurred for this exact same culture that's going on in the world right now. This right here, okay, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
if he doesn't find her attractive, then he doesn't find her attractive. He's allowed to say that she's not attractive.
Yeah,
he's allowed to say that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So this is a valid complaint.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to complain about everything.
I think that she's a beautiful
Again,
woman.
it is not about any specific complaint. It is about the volume of complaints that they're consistently getting over and over and over again.
Maybe.
Not maybe.
Well, let's go into that other
entire dossier full of these.
Let's bring open the next clip, because there's really not that many. There really isn't that many.
One of the upsides was, I reviewed and organized the complaints that are levied against me now, the accusations for which I've already been sentenced, essentially. And the upside of it was that, these accusations are so incredibly preposterous and political that it's almost incomprehensible. I'm literally being Well, the requirement is, so the college has decided after pursuing these complaints that I don't know how to regulate my behavior properly in my social media communications.
Okay, so do you think that Jordan Peterson may be delusional?
In which aspect?
Well, he doesn't believe that there's anything wrong with his tweets.
Of course he doesn't. I'm not saying that he's delusional. He's steadfast in his ideals, and that's fine. That's something that's completely understandable, to be steadfast in your beliefs. But they are asking you to stop doing this. They want you to represent the company that you are working for, the industry that you are under, the banner that pays you. They want you to represent yourself in a certain way. The same thing the military would do, or it's the same thing any company would actually expect you to do.
So
Especially when you're a person of notoriety of that level.
So the private company is telling him that they don't care about his rights and that he has to conform to their belief or he's fired.
No, that's not what they're saying. They're literally saying that you do not have to continuously sit here and text like this. We want you to be able to talk to people in a more, not necessarily a restricted way. They want him to talk to people in a more respectful way, to be able to learn how to have tact properly. And that is the problem. He's not doing to attack. He's sitting here just being like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Yeah, it's cool that you also don't have to work for this company. That's how it is.
Conform or have your license revoked. It's not just a company. He would have his entire license revoked by the board. He wouldn't be able to work as a clinical psychologist anywhere in the country ever again. It's not like he could just go and find a new job. It's not that.
And he has a new job. He actively works a new job.
He does, sure. But if he wanted to actually practice as a clinical psychologist again, he would never be able to do that. His license would be revoked, all because
with great power comes great responsibility.
All because he didn't want to conform to their ideas.
They're literally telling him, because he is in the limelight, because the spotlight is on him, we do not want you doing this, representing our company in this manner. We don't want you representing the organization in this manner. They have every right to do so.
No, a private company does not have the right to infringe on your constitutional rights.
Well, it's not a constitutional right.
I'm gonna look up actually what I'm gonna look up what the Constitution is, what free speech is in their Constitution for Canada.
That's fine.
I'm gonna look it up for us because I think that it is actually very important for the topic and being able to understand what their constitutional rights are. I'll do a quick fact check. I think actually we'll drop it into tomorrow's episode, because I feel like we could definitely talk about this all day long, and I don't mind, but I do want to actually get to some of the other topics that we do have as well. Remember when pride was a sin and Ellen Page just had her breast removed by a criminal physician?
Just unnecessary. And you're sitting here trying to represent an organization that is supposed to be helping people, and you are actively telling them that they are horrible people and that they are bad people and they shouldn't be doing this way.
As a doctor, that is your job.
No, it is not your job as a psychiatrist to tell people that they are wrong for living their lives how they choose to live.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that
you can suggest
gender
that you may want to work out because it may help with depression. It may help with your overall health. You can, regardless of gender dysphoria, there's people like Buck Angel that very much exist, that have gone through years and years and years of therapy. And the only way for them to be able to find themselves is to be the other sex.
Right.
And he will openly admit that it is, in fact, gender dysphoria. But that does not change the fact that they are still happy living their lives in that manner.
There's mental disorder, not a disease. I'm sorry. But yes, it is. Yes. It is a mental disorder. But as a clinical psychologist, it is your job to tell people that they have a mental disorder and to show them that there is a different way of living.
But that's not what he's saying. And you don't have to show them that there's another way of living.
That is, I mean, you do as a psychologist, as a physician, that is your job, is to show them a way out.
It is your job to help them find happiness.
It's not your job to help them cope with their dysphoria.
That's exactly what it is. There is no cure for gender dysphoria. There's no cure. There is no way of reversing it. There's no way of changing it. It is what it is.
No, I
And
think
so
that this
your
is
job is to help them come to realization, see if the changes they want to make, actually they want to make. And if
No.
they are 100% dead set in doing it, it is not your job to tell them not to.
No. Okay. So there is a percentage of people out there that absolutely have gender dysphoria. I'm not questioning anything about that. But the culture that we have today, most of these people do not have gender dysphoria at all. They are just claiming to have gender dysphoria because they want to fit into this it crowd. And when you look at the culture that is around these people that are wanting to claim that they're these wild deranged animals or bats or vampires or dogs or whatever it is, there is something mentally wrong with these people. And if we just continuously keep trying to encourage to let them live their life the way that they want to, then our society and culture as we know it will break down. It'll break down to literally nothing.
No, it will not. By telling people to live happier lives, it's going to break down. How does that make sense?
We're just going to give these people these
First of
happy
all, we're
magic
talking
pills.
about 0.5% of the population. 0.5% of the population is going to cause the entire civilization to collapse because you have to say he,
Okay, so
her.
the issue
What?
isn't that it's 0.5. It's the fact that statistically this has been rising for the last 15 years.
Okay,
It
even if
started
it
out
goes to
it's
15%, it's still not going to collapse the civilization.
15% will absolutely collapse the civil, even 10%. 10% would collapse society as we know it. 10% less employees out there, 10% less
How would that? Why
people
would it be less
packaging goods.
employees?
I mean, it would be 10% of the population, period. If everybody is suffering with
They
mental
still
illness,
work.
mental illness is a parasite that jumps from one person to the next person to the next person. So long as the person with
It's
the
not
mental illness,
contagious.
so long as the person with the mental illness can convince you that their mental illness is okay,
Oh, so you're
that you
just
have
trying
jumped on
you're
board.
saying that people are just going to convince people over and over again that they're transgender and it's just going to spread and everyone's going to be trans?
That's I'm saying that there will be a breaking point. I don't think that we'll get to 100% transgender people. No, absolutely not, because there are still people that are going to be able to, and
This
keep
is
their
like the
brains
same
complacent.
arguments were made about gay people. And now you're acting like everybody is gay. Like,
It,
oh,
you know,
and society is breaking down because everybody's gay. Wait, no, it's not. We
so
actually have a thriving system.
I remember back in 2000, actually, we were talking. Republicans were opposed to letting gays get married, and at that time, I thought, Republicans are crazy. Like they're gays, they want to get married. There's nothing wrong with that, and we should allow that to happen. But they did say one thing that stuck in my head was that this will not be the end, and that this will be a snowball that's going to continuously roll down the hill that will transform into other issues. And so now we jump into, we fast forward 23 years into the culture that we have today, and you see that we have adult entertainers that are deciding they want to strip tease in front of little kids, and for some reason these parents are just walking their children into these cesspools that they should never be in. The culture in itself has evolved, and it will continue to evolve unless we as a community and a society put it to a stop. It will get to a point where it will crush the culture and society that we have today.
It's fear-mongering bullshit, dude. Straight the hell
I
up.
don't think that that's
Because you
fear
have
mongering at
no,
all.
it is fear-mongering because by saying that we allowed gay people to get married, that it just snowballed into trans kids
But
and all this other stuff. No, that's not how it works. Like, these were things that were inevitably going to happen. Regardless of gay people being allowed to get married or not, these things were going to exist. Trans people have existed. They have always existed. The simple thing is we're actually giving a voice to people that have literally been oppressed and treated like shit for a long time. Now, granted, I do believe that things have gone too far on some aspects. You give an inch, they take a mile. This is not rocket science. This is not me predicting the future. This is just human nature. So to sit there and say that, oh, it's just inevitable because we allowed it to happen. Like, no one is saying to continue to allow children drag shows. There is a small number of people that actually support something like that. But the overall majority of people, to include many people in the LGBTQ community, to include trans people, are very much against that stuff. So when you sit there and you generalize the entire group and say that, oh, if we just continue to allow them to do what they do and be happy and live their lives, then it's just going to get worse and civilization is going to fall apart. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit excuse.
Well, I have to say that from 2000, it has escalated, and it's escalating at a much more rapid pace than it was 10 years ago. It is snowballing out of control, and nobody's saying don't allow for gay people to get married. But I think at the end of the day, we have to understand that there was a starting point to it, and at some point there will be an ending point. And
Yes,
from 23 years ago, now we're Happy New Year's, everybody. From 23 years ago to today, our civilization and our culture has completely warped out of control.
Yeah, but it's so much more, and it has nothing to do with people being gay and trans. We
I
can
think that
attribute that. You can attribute that to corporations
There's
acquiring mass
absolutely,
wealth. You can attribute that to social media. You can attribute that to technology
absolutely.
advancements. All of these things have a huge influence. Saying gay people are the reason that things are going out of control
No,
is not
nobody's
because of
saying
it.
that gay people are the reason
No,
for
you're
that.
saying that that's where it all started. Or it
I'm,
had to start somewhere, and so it
I'm
must have
saying
been
that
when we allowed gay
no,
people to get married.
no. What I'm saying is that there is a correlation to the time that Republicans had said that this was going to happen,
They've
and
been
that there are,
saying this
and
is
that
going to happen for all of
doesn't matter. They said it in 2000. The
they
fact
said
is,
it in 1990 as well.
it doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter when it was
Does
said.
because it is constant fear
Okay,
mongering that something is eventually going to happen and then it
regardless if they
happens.
said it 2,500 years ago, it doesn't matter. The fact is that we passed those policies to allow what we have today.
What policy? Yes, with much
Right.
pushback.
Yeah, tremendous amounts of pushback because the Christian community definitely doesn't want for that to be allowed in the country. But at the same time, you had every church in the world in the early 2000s screaming, "Let the gays come! Let the gays come!" Christians weren't
That's
fighting
not
against
how
that
I remember
either.
that.
No, absolutely. Every single church that you went to was saying we're non-denominational because that was the thing of the day.
Nah,
That's how the churches got the
that
people
wasn't
in the
until like
seats.
2010, 2012.
I
The
mean,
churches
regardless,
between before 2010 and prior,
I'm
it
pretty sure
was
it was like
it
2008.
was gay people are going to hell. It's a sin. This is why our country is going to hell. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
All that rhetoric over and over and over again. And still to this day, many Christians are like that. They just hide it better because they don't want to be outed as a bigot.
No.
I've seen it.
Absolutely. So here's the thing, though, is that Christians are supposed to be the all loving, encompassing people of the Bible.
Tell that to Ben Shapiro.
If you are genuinely, well, Ben Shapiro's not a Christian, but if
No,
you are
it's
genuinely,
all the same stuff.
if you are genuinely a Christian, then you are supposed to love thy neighbor like your enemy. It doesn't matter if you're gay, you're still going to give them shelter and food and water, and you're still going to help them along their way. Just because you don't like what they do in the bedroom does not mean that they hate you as an individual. The fact that people think that Christians are this way is the culture and the society pushing that belief onto you, when in reality, Christians do not think that way.
You forget that I was Southern Baptist. I was actively going to church all the time. Christians 100% think that way.
I've
100%.
never met a Christian. I have never met a Christian in my entire life that has told me
You're lying.
I swear
lying.
to God,
Then
I
you
put my
haven't
hand
been
on the
around
Bible.
any Christians.
I
Then you
swear
have
to
been
God,
around
I have never been around a Christian who has told me that they hated a gay person or told me that that person was going to burn in hell. Not a single time.
Bullshit.
Not once.
Then you don't know any gay people or Christians, because 100% every gay person will tell you a story about how a Christian literally has told them that they are going to burn in hell because they are sinners. I have been
not.
told
I
that
have
because
not
I'm
met
an
one
atheist.
person. I'm not
I have
saying
been
that it
told
doesn't
that.
exist. I'm not saying that it doesn't
But you're
exist.
acting like it's a rarity, and it's not. It is so freaking common. It is so common. Why do you think so many gay people are against Christians? Not because they just don't like
There's
Christians.
plenty of
It's because
Christian gay people.
not a lot.
Yes,
No,
there is.
no, very
There's
small
there
percentage.
no,
It
there
is
is
extremely small
there is
percentage.
plenty of gay Christian people out there.
No, there's not. There may be gay people that believe in some kind of God, but most people will tell you that they are spiritual and they are not Christian because they don't want to be
Right.
associated with Christianity.
Look, I've never met a single Christian who has sat here and told me that a gay person was going to burn in hell or that they didn't like them because they were gay. I have had Christians tell me I don't like what they're doing with their life, but I'm not going to love them any less.
Then you haven't met any Christians, straight up.
That is that's my entire world.
Then you're not talking to the people or they're lying to you. Because when they did the dirty side of it, I have literally been on the other end of it where they are saying you are going to burn in hell. How could you ever have morals being an atheist? You need God to have morals. You need God to save you. God, so many times have I had this told to me. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that Christians are just so great, loving people. No, the truth is, most people aren't loving Christians. They are judgmental fucks who consistently and constantly will judge other people, from the tattoos that they have to the people that they sleep with.
I mean, no, people don't even judge anybody off of tattoos anymore. Nobody even judges people off of tattoos anymore. Tattoos stopped being judgmental like in 2000.
How much do you want to bet, dude?
Come on. Like we're arguing
You're going
no, what we're doing here is we're arguing semantics and you're attacking the Christian faith while all the while I have sat here and listened to all of it, not yelled or screamed or got
I'm not
hostile
attacking the
back.
Christian faith.
That's exactly what you're
No,
doing.
I am attacking the people that believe in Jesus Christ,
But
that
you are
consistently
lump
tell me I
summing
am
them.
a sinner
No,
because you say your God says so.
you're lump summing all of them into the generalization. You are attacking the Christian faith because of the fact that you have heard a couple of people tell you that you're going to burn in hell. And I don't doubt that these people are out there. I think that there are absolutely people out there. And if you want to talk about Southern Baptists who want to go strictly by the Bible, every single word of it, then sure, I would agree with you. A Southern Baptist probably will tell you that, and they're not going to hide it from you. But at the end of the day, if the Bible says that it is a sin, then it is a sin. Now, is it my job to go out there and say, hey, you're gay, you're going to burn in hell? No, absolutely not. That has never been the Christian's job. The Christian's job has always been to help people from their suffering, to help them with their sin, but never to coerce, manipulate, or to talk down or degrade somebody because of their sin. Not once.
Better start getting on social media and letting them know that, because they forgot.
All right. Well, our next topic. Hard segue, guys. We've got I think I need to scroll
Country's
down
former
here.
president smashing
Brazil?
into and storming government buildings in the capital. Thousands of yellow and green clad protesters broke into the country's congressional building, Supreme Court, and also the presidential palace. This caps months of tension following October's vote ousting the far-right president. He has yet to concede defeat, claiming that Brazil's voting system is prone to fraud.
All right, so
I don't know how to
what?
I don't know how to pronounce these guys' names. It's actually kind of hard, but I think that it's actually kind of important to try and get the names right. So the gentleman that just came in is now a Democrat, and then there was Bolsonaro that was a Republican, and he is no longer sitting in office. Let me pull it up really quick because I do have it from earlier still. All right. You want to actually just start reading through some of that? I'm going to get that other gentleman's name because I don't think we have it on there.
Yeah, that works. All right, so we had Bolsonaro telling Ben Shapiro why his battle to save Brazil from socialist clutches is America's fight too. Brazilian president told the Daily Wire host Ben Shapiro his country is at a crossroads in the upcoming election and faces the danger of falling into the same pattern of socialist corruption that engulfs many South and Central American nations. By the way, this is an article from October 26th. The elections have already happened, and that is the clip that you had just seen, going over what happened after the elections, because these people who support this president decided that they wanted to go riot and tear things down and break windows and do all this craziness because they believed the election had been stolen from them.
Okay, and the other gentleman's name here is Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. He is the new up-and-coming president over in Brazil.
He was already in power once, but
Yes,
he ended up going to jail on corruption charges.
he did end up going to jail on corruption
But
charges.
those corruption charges were thrown out because they said that they didn't have any jurisdiction to Yeah, they didn't have any jurisdiction to go against them. So, like I said, I'm not going to act like I know anything about Brazil politics. I don't know anything about the politicians. I don't know anything about them. Obviously, that we're seeing this get mixed up in American politics. Ben Shapiro, and of course, people calling this guy the Brazilian Trump, and so on and so forth. Was the election stolen? I have no idea. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I honestly don't care either.
I think it's more just a matter of
business. I know why. I don't know why they're trying to make it a big deal in American politics when this has nothing to do with us.
I think that it's just a matter of the fact of it being on the radar that there is conflict in Brazil right now. And I definitely want to stay updated with what's going on or what will happen in the future.
From what it looks like to me is you have two really, really bad politicians that are trying to take power. You have one politician that may be corrupt. You have one politician that's like Trump, and I don't know if he's corrupt too, but who knows what's going on.
We definitely have one that is corrupt. I mean, the charges were dropped because of jurisdiction, not because he wasn't guilty.
Yeah, and the charges can still be retried and so on and so forth. There's still a possibility that he could go to jail.
Yes. I do want to fast forward,
which would be a crazy thing to get elected and then to go to jail, and then if you get off on that, are you that corrupt? Can you actually get around it? Because that's the thing. I don't know how the system works in Brazil to be able to check somebody like that who's gotten that kind of power. But you want the next article?
Yes, I did actually want to mention here because this is something else that we're going to keep on our radar. Lula, that gentleman that is now the president over Brazil, is a part of the World Economic Forum. This is a topic that I'm definitely going to want to get into, but it's going to be an entire hour block by itself. This isn't something that we would have to save this for a day. That there isn't anything else to talk about.
This article is from 2010 when he got this award from the World Economic System or whatever it is. Some people like you believe that it's the new world order, where I just believe that it's rich people getting together talking about how to make the world a better place.
Speaking of World Economic Forum, I sent you another one as well. Our FBI director is a part of the World Economic, or he's going to the meeting.
There's three individuals that are going to the World Economic Forum for Biden. I have to get their names later. I don't remember what they were. I read an article earlier today.
Pull open the next one really quick. It's just a list of names. It's from this year.
I don't think I have that one.
I can send it to you really quick.
Okay.
Because it's gonna have actually a bunch of. I sent it to you on Messenger. It's gonna actually have a bunch of names on here. If anybody notices one, but Christopher Wray is the FBI director today, the current FBI director, and he has been invited to the Davos agenda, the Davos meeting in Davos, Switzerland. So the World Economic Forum does hold multiple meetings every year, and they spread it out. Davos is always the same annual meeting. They always have, they're trying to make a big deal right now out of 2,500 Swiss military. I think that they're like National Guard or the equivalent thereof are being put on standby. Pretty much they're running security for
The
toward the
U.S.
thing.
delegation to attend the World Economic Forum annual meeting is going to be Secretary of Labor Martin Walsh, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, United States Trade Representative Ambassador Catherine Tai, Director of FBI Christopher Rye, United States Agency of International Development Administration Samantha Power, Special President Envoy for Climate John Kerry, Senator John Coons, Senator Maria Cantwell, Senator Joe Manchin, Representative Joaquin Castro, Representative Madeline Dean, Representative Mike Gallagher, Representative Daryl Issa, Representative Gregory Meeks, Representative Seth Moulton, Representative Maria Salazar, Representative Mikey Sherrill, Representative Juan Vargas.
All right. I'm
Those are all
sure that we will.
going. Like I said, I honestly don't care that they're going because I don't think it's anything or a big deal. I think it's just people coming together to talk about how to make the world better a place in the new world and how, I know a lot of people like you are afraid of globalization and things of that nature, but globalization is just talking about world trade and making it to where everybody can get a little bit of something.
We'll definitely have a full hour-long segment on
Yeah, we don't
this.
have time to argue about that
No,
right now.
there's way too much.
All right, so we'll get into the next
I
one.
think we actually only have one last one, right?
No, we have two more.
Okay.
We're gonna get into the climate lockdown.
Oh, okay. Yes, this
Trial
is
to begin in 2024. This is being published by Vision News Independent Journalism at its best, supposedly. This
okay.
came out
So
November 30th, 2022.
this was a few months ago. I actually do want to read through some of this and the next one. Vision News has taken a hit, pretty much saying that it's not true news. And oh, my webpage is not working. Okay, it says Oxfordshire County Council yesterday approved plans to lock residents into one of 6 zones to save the planet from global warming. The latest stage in the 15-minute city agenda is to place electronic gates on key roads in and out of the city, confining residents to their own neighborhoods. Under the new scheme, if residents want to leave their zone, they will need permission from the council, who gets to decide who is worthy of freedom and who isn't. Under the new scheme, residents will be allowed to leave their zone a maximum of 100 times per year, but in order to even gain this, every resident must have registered their car details to the city, who will then track their movements via smart cameras around the city. Now, it does go on into that article later on. It specifies that it as well is if you're a family that has multiple cars, you won't be able to just take one car 100 times. But if you've got 2 cars, you would only be able to take 50 trips a piece, or 25, 75. If you've got 3 cars, it's 100 trips, period. You're not leaving the zone for more than that. Now, we did fact check this through, this is AP News right here, and it says that this claim is false. It says, we'll read the claim again here. It says, claim, the county of Oxfordshire, England, which includes the city of Oxford, is imposing a climate lockdown that will confine residents to their neighborhoods. It says, false. Oxfordshire has approved a plan to put traffic filters, quotations, on some main roads, and that is going to be restricting drivers' access during daytime hours and freeing up space for buses, cyclists, and pedestrians. But car owners can apply for a day-long permit to bypass the new rules, and many other vehicles are exempt. All parts of the county will remain accessible by car, officials said. So what they're telling you here is it's false. It's not a climate lockdown. However, they are still going to have traffic filters in place. You will still have to register your car and get permission by registering, which everybody, I'm assuming, will be able to get approved for at this point. I don't think that they're going to deny anybody, but they're putting an extra hurdle on you in order for you to be able to travel from point A to point B Or even if you just want to take the day trip or you wanted to drive around, you're going to be using up some of your rations, so to speak, in order to do so. So even though the claim was classified as false, they're still admitting in this same fact check that what was just previously said is still true. They just changed it from
Well, no,
climate lockdown to traffic filters.
It's not technically true. It's not a climate lockdown. Nobody is being locked down.
Because of the climate, right?
They're putting in a permit to reduce traffic in certain areas during certain times. Now, whether you agree with that permit or not, which I definitely wouldn't agree with, I definitely would not allow that in my town. I would definitely be voting against something like that because that's essentially just taxing you for driving on the roads when you already pay taxes to fix the roads, at least here in America. But
Right.
so I think it's just more, honestly, at the end of the day, this is not doing it's not preventing anybody from going anywhere. This is just making people have another permit. Whether, like, how Florida or even Texas, they all have the passes to drive on the freeways and all that craziness.
Toll roads.
The toll roads and all that good stuff.
But there is a bypass to the toll road.
Not always. Sometimes you still have to. There's been many times where I've had to pay a toll where there's no bypassing it. You just have to go through it. And you end up, getting a $2 fee or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's not too egregious, but it's still annoying.
But it's just annoying. But I don't think it's a climate lockdown. I don't think we can call it a lockdown of any sorts because it's not forcing anybody to stay anywhere. And
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, you might get a fine for driving around like that without having a permit. But that's something that the people have to take up on the local level.
I think that this is the first that we're going to see of this, and I think that there is going to be more. I don't think that it's going to come here to America, at least not anytime soon. But I think that eventually it will. If okay, so this is an experiment for Oxfordshire, right? If it goes according to plan, the way that they wanted to, then I think that we'll probably start to see it implemented in other sections of the world, and eventually it'll roll out here to America as well. If it doesn't, if it's not successful, then they should just shut it down. But what is deemed successful? I guess that's the better question. But one last article for the night before we wrap up here.
All right, the last article. Abortions in Texas plummet nearly 99% months after Dobbs ruling. A pro-life advocacy group estimated that approximately 50,000 lives have been saved in Texas since September. Excuse me. Now, the problems I have with this article. First of all, abortion in Texas drastically decreased in the months following the overturn of Roe v. Wade in June, according to recent data. This data is only showing us up until August. There is no data from September until December. Second of all, it may be great for Republicans to be cheering that 99% have plummeted, but the more likely reality is that these individuals are going out of state for their abortions. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me that these people are just randomly deciding to have children now. No, people are going to go out of their way. They're going to find different means of doing this, whether it be finding or someone sending morning after pills to them, whether it be something of, or them going out of state and getting an abortion. I do not believe the statistic at all. And I think this is just right-wing propaganda trying to be pushed, trying to say, no, I'm dead serious, because it's lacking data. How can you say that it's dropped 99% when you're working with like a 2-month period? You don't even have the entire year to work with. And then you're going to sit here and act like something has happened when you don't even have all the proof.
You could go month to month by data. You can track month by month data. You can check March
like I said,
from this
though,
year versus last
how
year.
many people are getting black market pills now? How many
You don't
people?
need to.
What are you talking about?
In Texas, the abortion is up to 6 weeks. I mean, you wouldn't even be getting black market pills at that point. You could just go to the store and get the Plan B pill. That's not prohibited. It's up to 6 weeks until termination.
Yes, I understand that. But I'm saying, okay, regardless of that, but that is one thing that is an issue, and it has become an increasing issue, as you can tell from right here, where it's talking about how especially pills trafficked over the border and online, but this is life-saving progress. At the end of the day, you cannot prove that this is life-saving progress. We would have to estimate how their abortions are doing, what they are at, have they increased, have they decreased, and then we'd have to look at a national aspect and see where else people might be going so that they can get abortions.
I agree with that there, because I mean, if Texas is dropping, let's say 10,000 abortions that are not happening by this month, but you see an increase in California, Oregon, Washington, somewhere
That
that has
means people are just
increased,
going to other states to
then
get them.
yeah. But I don't think that there is very many. I do think that now, because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, that there is a portion of people that are moving out of Texas, but not many people move out of Texas just simply because of the policies and the politics that are here in Texas. I mean,
No,
even Democrats love Texas. It's just the way it's the way that it is. You know, as
no,
long as you're
you know,
not too far to the left.
Texas is an okay state, you know. I enjoy living here for some aspects. Visually, it's just not beautiful. It's an ugly freaking state.
I completely agree with that. There's a lot of other states that are way more beautiful. I loved California. California was absolutely gorgeous, astonishing, but the politics in California is not good.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring this. I just wanted to talk about this one because it just feels very misleading. It feels like, you know, we're sitting here celebrating something, but it doesn't put into any more research about anything more. I think this is them just trying to say, "Hey, we got to win. It's working." But the truth is, we don't know if it's actually working until we actually start pulling the reports from all the other states from all over America and comparing them and seeing if it actually is working. And I don't think that to be the case. I think people are going to leave the state to get an abortion if they truly do want an abortion.
Yeah, I do think I agree with you. I agree with you, actually. I think that a lot of people will leave that do want abortions, because it's not like you're going to be able to put that cat in the bag.
Yeah.
You know, it's already out. You're not putting it back in the bag. I don't agree with abortions. I don't think that anybody should have one under almost any circumstance. I do believe that there is a small fraction of people, you know, that would choose still to, in a position, you know, in the case of incest or rape, you know, if you choose to get an abortion, again, me being a Christian, I don't agree with you, but at the same time, I would tell you that you still have that choice to do what you want with your body. And God might not agree with you, but I would love you no less because of your decision. Nice.
No, I agree with you. And that's a good stance to take. That's the only stance you should take, to be honest. Anybody else telling people what women can do with their bodies is absolutely mind blowing to me. You know, I am definitely pro-choice because I don't have a vagina. I don't think I should be speaking on abortion. I don't know what it is like to carry a baby. I don't know what it is like to carry a rape baby. I don't know what it is like to deal with any of those issues. So I don't think I should be saying anything on it. Just like women shouldn't be saying anything about circumcision or anything of that nature.
I do think that somebody needs to speak for the child. Somebody needs to speak for the child. Is that person me? No, but somebody needs to speak for the child.
Well,
Yes.
that's another discussion for another time, and debating on what is a child and when is a child.
Moment of conception.
Yeah.
48 hours.
Birthday.
Yeah.
So I'm actually 34 soon. If we're
Yeah.
going to go from the moment of conception, I'm going to be 34.
Right. This is true. I mean, if you were in Japan, you would be a year older than you are today. A lot of Asian cultures actually do that.
Do they?
Yeah, your gestation period is a
No,
year.
they just killed the girl, though. That's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not okay.
I was reading some Chinese news today. It's not looking too good in China. What we were talking about with Russia and geopolitics yesterday.
I'm telling you, we're going to read that book and we're going to do a review of that book.
Okay. Sounds good.
But yeah, let's get off of here so we can stop talking about this on air.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, for coming by. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. And if you did, please hit the like button. If you disliked the show, you can absolutely hit the dislike button. But my conclusion is that as long as you like something that I said, you should hit the like button. And if you like something that he said, then you should, again, hit the like button. Subscribe is down there. Make sure to subscribe so that way you are here with us 5 days a week.
If you think he's wrong, hit the dislike button.
We're going to be uploading Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. That schedule may change in the future, but as of right now, that is what we're going to hold steady to. Check out the short videos that we did upload over yesterday, I believe, for the past, it's kind of a weekend. And stay tuned because a lot more is coming.
Yeah.
All right.